They didn't kill for revenge. They didn't kill out of rage. They killed for something far more strange. Love. But what kind of love leads to poison in your coffee, a pillow over your face, or your body buried in a stranger's backyard? Today, we explore the disturbing stories of women who turned affection into obsession, where romance became ritual and the need for connection ended in tragedy. This is a story about longing, about what happens when the fear of being alone becomes so overwhelming that death feels like the only answer. Whether they killed to keep someone, to prove something, or to fill a void, these women didn't fit the mold, and neither did their motives. Let's begin. Nannie Doss smiled a lot. She baked pies, she read romance magazines. She looked like the kind of grandmother who'd press $1 into your palm and tell you to buy candy. But Nannie's story wasn't sweet. Born in 1905 in Alabama, Nannie had a difficult childhood. Her father was controlling, keeping her from school and forcing her to work the fields. And at age 7, she suffered a head injury in a train accident, a blow many believe may have changed something in her brain. By 16, she was married off to a man she barely knew. The marriage was miserable. He drank, cheated, and Nannie was forced to bear 4 children before the age of 20. When 2 of them died suddenly under suspicious circumstances, her husband began to suspect something was off. He refused to eat her cooking, and eventually he ran. What followed was a decades-long trial of marriages, insurance policies, and funerals. Between 1920 and 1954, Nannie Doss poisoned 4 of her 5 husbands, and that's not counting her mother, 2 sisters, a grandson, and a mother-in-law. Each relationship began in the same way, with charm, warmth, and romantic idealism. Nannie often found her suitors in newspaper ads, but when her partners turned out to be disappointing, too cold, too controlling, too real, she began to quietly remove them. Arsenic was her go-to method, slipped into coffee, mixed into stews, just enough to make them sick at first, just enough to play the caring wife, and then just enough to end it all. She wasn't just a serial killer, she was a performer. She grieved, she sent sympathy cards, baked casseroles, and then started again. It wasn't until her 5th husband, Samuel Doss, who died suddenly after she took out a life insurance policy, that doctors grew suspicious. Tests confirmed he'd been poisoned, and at this time, the story unraveled. When police confronted her, Nannie didn't cry, she giggled. She said she was just looking for love, but only with nice men. So was Nannie searching for some perfect romance? Or had she simply come to enjoy the power of ending one? Martha Beck always felt like an outsider. She was born in 1920, and her early life was shaped by illness, isolation, and trauma. She struggled with her weight, battled medical issues, and was reportedly abused by her brother and neglected by her mother. Her one escape? Romance stories. Martha devoured them, paperback tales of passion, destiny, and devotion. She wanted a man who would never leave her, someone who would love her so fully that she'd finally feel whole. So when someone placed a Lonely Hearts ad in her name as a cruel joke, she didn't laugh. She hoped. She waited. And eventually, Raymond Fernandez replied. Raymond was a con man, charming, manipulative, and already deep into a scheme where he lured women through newspaper ads, stole from them, and vanished. Martha was supposed to be just another Mark, but she didn't act like the others. Martha fell in love instantly, obsessively, and Raymond didn't push her away because she was useful. She quit her job, abandoned her children, and became his full-time partner in crime. Together, they posed as siblings. Raymond seduced women, usually widows or divorcees, and Martha stayed close to ensure no one got too comfortable. When the women started getting suspicious, Martha made sure the suspicions ended. Their crimes escalated fast. One of their victims, Janet Fay, was a devout Catholic who accepted Raymond's proposal. Days later, after she questioned their story, she was struck repeatedly in the head. Another victim, Delphine Downing, had a 2-year-old daughter. Delphine was drugged and shot. Her child didn't survive either. It's believed Martha killed out of jealousy, but it was deeper than that. She needed to feel chosen, needed to know Raymond belonged to her and only her. When they were caught in 1949, their love story was splashed across the headlines, The Lonely Hearts Killers. Martha remained devoted. Even on death row, she defended him. And in her final interview before execution, she said, "My story is a love story, but only those tortured with love can understand what I mean." So was Martha a willing killer, or a woman who loved too recklessly? And can someone commit monstrous acts while believing it's all in the name of love? They met working in a nursing home. Gwen Graham was bold, assertive, calm under pressure. Cathy Wood was insecure, shy, hungry for attention. In the halls of Alpine Manor, a facility for elderly patients with dementia, their connections sparked almost instantly. They became friends, then lovers, and slowly their bond began to darken. Gwen was drawn to risk. She liked pushing boundaries, especially in their private life. Cathy, in turn, was willing to do anything to keep Gwen close. Between 1987 and 88, 5 patients under their care died under mysterious circumstances. All were elderly, all were vulnerable, all seemed to pass quietly in their sleep, but they hadn't. According to Cathy's later confession, Gwen suffocated them, targeting residents who were unlikely to speak up or whose deaths wouldn't raise questions. Cathy played lookout. Then, after the act, they would celebrate, sometimes physically, sometimes emotionally, feeding off the thrill of what they'd done. One of the most disturbing details? The 2 women were seen as excellent employees. They received praise, even commendations. No one suspected a thing, until Gwen moved on. She started seeing someone new. She left Cathy, moved to Texas, and got a job working with children. That's when Cathy began to unravel. She told her ex-husband everything, and eventually she went to the police. She described the killings as a twisted form of bonding, a way to prove her loyalty, to be close to Gwen. She said they chose victims by their initials, that Gwen fantasized about harming children, that the crimes weren't random, they were rituals. Gwen denied everything. She said Cathy was lying, jealous, vindictive. Only Cathy testified. Gwen never confessed. To this day, we don't know the full truth. Were they both equally responsible? Was Cathy a manipulated follower or a master manipulator? These women didn't kill out of rage or profit. Not entirely. They believed they were creating something meaningful, something intimate. Love is supposed to be the thing that saves us, but in the wrong hands, it can destroy. And maybe that's the scariest part. Which of these stories disturbed you the most, and which would you like us to dive deeper into? Let us know in the comments. And if you're fascinated by the darker corners of the human mind, by obsession, psychology, and the fine line between love and control, make sure you're subscribed. There are more stories coming soon from Path to Chaos.